500,000 landlords are leaving the rental market. They're expected to be out of the market by 2028. Why is that? Well, let's cover that and more in this video. And why is this an opportunity for new landlords to make great money and have a great portfolio along the way? Now, before we jump into this, if you haven't done already, make sure you smash the like button on this video, guys. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. I've got new content every single day, and I don't want you to miss out on it. I don't know any other YouTuber that is doing daily content at the moment. So, what's going on? Well, it's tough as a landlord. I know when I make these videos, there's always a troll or two or 10 that will come in the comments and they'll say, landlords make so much money, they're profiteering. Well, landlords can make very good money, but it can also be a very, very difficult thing. And at the moment, there's a hell of a lot that's going on that is causing landlords stress and making them leave. Now, it's interesting that the number one reason that landlords want to leave is actually something that might not even happen. We've covered that in this week's videos already. And that is EPCs, Energy Performance Certificates. We've done some videos in the last week, 2 weeks actually, we've done a couple now, that talk about how energy performance certificate guidelines have been relaxed. And that's come off the back of a statement by Michael Gove. And what he's saying is that we needed to hit a target of an EPC, which is the energy rating on the property, of a level C. They go from G to A being the best. You need to have at least a level C to be able to rent your house out by 2025. That was then kicked back, and it was then a new woolly sort of deal that you had to be a level C by 2028. It was also being talked about that some properties it's impossible to get to a level C. It just wouldn't work. If you imagine lots of Victorian houses where you just couldn't get that. So what they would do is they'd have to spend a minimum of £10,000, and show that £10,000 was to improve the insulation and that sort of stuff on the property. And so that scares a lot of landlords, particularly if you invest up north where you've got a 100 grand house. 10% is a huge sum. If you live in Chelsea, it's peanuts. It's probably your monthly rent, so it's not quite as bad to you guys. So what happened? Well, Michael Gove has said there's so much hitting landlords at the moment. Interest rate rises, Section 21, Section 24. We're going to go into more details on this stuff in a second. Look, we just need to delay this. And so the government have just delayed it indefinitely now. So we don't have to spend 10 grand. We don't have to be ready by 2028. But they've said they'll come back to us soon and tell us what the rules are. And this was the problem, right? Not many people were bringing their property up to a level C because they didn't know when they needed to do it by. They didn't know if they spent the money now, would it count towards the £10,000 investment, or would that have to be spent after a certain date? Lack of clarity meant no one was doing anything. So it's kind of abolished for now, but it is coming back. And that's putting a lot of landlords under stress. They don't want to have to spend the money on the property, so they're leaving the market. Now, some people will say, great, good, that property goes back into the market and suddenly house prices get cheaper, people can buy, but there's a lot of people that want to rent. And the big problem we've got here is that 30% of landlords have already quit in the last few years. If you add another 500,000 onto it, it's going to be a huge exodus of landlords. And that's one of the biggest reasons why rents are rising at the moment. Yes, interest rates play into it. Yes, other factors play into it, but the lack of supply is the bigger problem here. And the government have this stance, and it's really easy to bash landlords, very, very easy to bash landlords. And so they take it, and ultimately a number of them want to leave. So EPCs is the biggest reason. But what else is going on? Well, there's something called Section 21. We've talked about that on the channel, not a lot, but we'll go into some more detail now. So Section 21 is where you can use something called a no-fault eviction. So if you want your property back, you can get it back. You can just serve notice, give them, I think it's a month or two notice, and get your property back for any reason. Now, some landlords use this in really bad ways. And so I had a good, actually my plasterer, I was speaking, my Dorking plasterer I was speaking to this week, And he said he got a Section 21 from his landlord, and the landlord then put the property back on the market 500 quid more expensive a week later. So clearly he just wanted to pay get more rent. And the plasterer said, we wanted to stay here. If we'd known that was the reason, we would have considered paying that higher rent. And so Section 21 is something that's going to get abolished. You can't do a no-fault eviction anymore. Now, that scares a lot of landlords because they feel that they're suddenly trapped with a bad tenant. However, what they're gonna add into this is that if someone is having arrears or their unsocial behaviour, you can actually get them evicted faster. So if they're a problem tenant, it's not an issue. So a lot of landlords are overreacting to this. They feel that they need to be able to get their property back at any moment, which they don't use anyway. And Section 21 going, I don't think it's a big deal, but it is another reason other landlords are leaving. Next is Section 24. Now this one makes sense, right? Anything with section on doesn't sound great, does it? So Section 24 means that landlords that own property in their own personal name, they have to pay tax on the gross income. There's a few comments on a video I did on this the other day where people feel that's fair. It's not. Any business that you've got, so my missus has a business called Chockney's Brownies. Go and check it out. And if Chockney's sells a brownie, let's just say they do £100 in sales, and then they don't pay tax on that £100. They pay tax on the profit on that. So they get to take out marketing costs, packaging costs, staff costs. They get to take out the oven costs, the heating costs. They get to take out the ingredient costs, right? The biggest cost. And so then whatever's left, they pay tax on that. That's how every business in the UK works, except for landlord businesses. We pay tax if we own it in our own name on the gross rent. So older landlords, they've bought all their properties in their personal name. They get £1,000 rent. They pay tax on that £1,000. It didn't used to be that way. This is a new rule that's come in. Now, if you own properties in a company, which is what I do now, I've got properties in my personal name. Most of mine are. But now, new deals, I buy in a company name. That means that I can then deduct all of these expenses. The problem is, if you've got it in your personal name, to get it into the company name isn't easy. There are loopholes and strategies that people have come up with, haven't been tested in court. Do they work? Probably. No one knows for sure. So Section 24 means there's landlords that are making rent and losing money, especially with the interest rates going up. Next is the interest rates, right? So the interest rates are hitting everyone. Interest rates going up is meaning your rent is going up because your landlord's getting more costs. It means your house, if you live in it, the costs are going up on that as well. And that's another reason why landlords are leaving in droves. So there's all of these things going on. And it's very easy to bash landlords, but it's also very easy from the side if you're looking in on this saying, wow, I wouldn't want to be a landlord. Here's the thing. Now's a great time to get in to be a landlord because there are these people with these problems. You can buy in a company which eliminates most of these problems. Section 21, I don't think is a problem. You can get a tenant out that doesn't pay. EPCs, it doesn't have a date on it anymore. Section 24 is irrelevant if you own in a company. And interest rates stack up. If you buy the deal today, you get the price adjusted to the market rate today. It's a lot easier. And it's where people bought 2 years ago and got 2% rates. They're coming off those and going on to 6% rates. Those are the ones that are really, really going to struggle. Let me know your thoughts on why landlords are leaving. Are you a landlord considering leaving? Let me know in the comments below. Do smash the like button. Do subscribe and hit the bell notification. And we want to hit 100,000 views this month, as I said. How can you help me do that? Well, go and watch this video right here.